Hello again, guys. Welcome back. Tonight I'm going to talk about what I do to adjust the kind of monthly with the timers, and how I try and keep it in sync with the natural environment. So this is weather data from the natural environment, just from a random place that I found on Google Earth Pro, which is near the Potwar Plateau in the Salt Hill Ranges in Pakistan, which is native habitat for leopard geckos. So this is just kind of like a village in that region. Obviously, they're not going to be like 100% accurate because we don't know the exact temperatures in the wild, and we because of that, we're not able to exactly replicate that in a terrarium. And obviously a terrarium is a terrarium. The wild is totally like different. So, with all that taken into consideration, we can come up with estimates, which is what this is here. So basically, I did my research, it's going back a couple of years ago now when I wrote this. So I think I've gone over this in a previous video, but just a quick run through. So basically, we've got the months of the year, and then the days. So those numbers there where it says day, that's temperature. So daytime temperature in January in Nali, which is a village, is 21. Yeah? So that's in the village of Nali. And then at night time it goes down to 10. And then how many rain days in Nali? On average, 5. And then the average humidity is 41%. Yeah? Now, obviously, weather changes and stuff. So 1 month could be really wet. 1 month could be really cold. It varies. But this is just a sort of to get an idea. Yeah? So that we can try and replicate in terrarium. Okay? And I'll go on to these timers in a second, yeah? So that's basically what that is. Now, this is where the timers come in. So, I need to get a computerized version of this. I still haven't done that. But anyway, good old-fashioned pen and paper. Right. So, this bottom half is how many hours of sun in January in Nali. And what time does the sun rise? Now, these figures, so the sunrise and the sunset times, I've just rounded those up to the nearest kind of 10 minutes, yeah? So say if the sunrise was like 6:52 in the morning, I just rounded it up to 7 o'clock, just to make it easier, because obviously, it's going to get too complicated then if you're doing it by the minute. So, just to make it sort of simple. So that's how I do that there, yeah? And then, so I use this to regulate the timers, yeah? Now, the timers, so basically are connected to each of the lighting sources in the terrarium. So the heat light, so the halogen light source, the LED plant lights, and the UVB light. And then this timer here is for the fans, which just add a bit of like ventilation, bit of like a wind kind of thing, yeah? So that's what that is, yeah? So, now, the lighting, because there's a few different lighting technology in there, yeah? So the halogen, the UVB, and the plant grow lights, they come on at intervals, yeah? So the first one is the halogen. So in the morning, if I just go to program, these were only like 10 quid, £10 UK sterling from B&Q, yeah? So, pretty cheap, and they do the job nicely. So I've connected them to a power tower cable thing, which also has like nifty little USB power points in them too. I never use those, but you know, you just never know in case. I was considering getting USB controlled fans. That's probably why I got this particular tower. I think this power tower was around about, I can't remember now exactly, probably around about the £30 mark. So with everything, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 50 quid for the whole lot, yeah? Anyway, this is just what I'm using, yeah? Everybody's got like different kind of setups, so, you know, not, you know, what I'm doing here doesn't necessarily work for somebody else's setup or situation or whatever, yeah? So this is just how I do it. And it is working fine so far, touch wood. Okay, so we have this timer regulates the time, so like sunrise and sunset. So this is for the halogen light bulb, which is sort of this here, yeah? So we're in November now, we're in autumn. Temperatures are getting cooler, daylight hours are getting shorter, yeah? So if I just press program, that's when the halogen light comes on in the morning, yeah? So this kind of resonates with this time here, 6:30, yeah? So November, sunrise, 6:30, okay? So that's when it rises. And then if I press program again, so that's morning, sunrise, sunset. So in the evening during November, it goes off at 5 o'clock, yeah? So it's the first to turn on of all the lights and then the last to go out to mimic sunset and sunrise, okay? So this one is now I had to mark them. This is the LEDs. So this is the main plant grow light LED, which is this LumiGrow light here, yeah? That isn't connected to the Jungle Dawns by Arcadia because it's a different manufacturer, different product, yeah, different brand. So I'll go on to the Jungle Dawns in a second because they're connected to the UVB. I'll go on to that in a sec. So the plant grow light comes on half an hour after the sun, the halogen. So if I go to program, comes on an hour after the sun rises, yeah? So that comes on. So this is like the intervals. So like the light gradually, instead of them all coming on at once, they gradually come on and gradually go off to mimic the sun in nature. Okay, so we have in November, so this comes on at 7:30 in the morning. So that's the main big grow light in the back, which lights up quite a large area. And then it goes off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So if we think of the sunset, at 5 o'clock in the evening in Gnarly, so this main plant grow light going off an hour earlier allows that gradual kind of sunset effect, yeah? And then half an hour in between, we have I just dropped my phone. So half an hour in between, we have this, which is the UVB. So this is an Arcadia. So the UVB, which is that light there. This wire connects into the Jungle Dawns. These are plant grow lights, LEDs. So because they're the same, operated by the same brand, so Arcadia, they're all kind of the same, they're all the same unit, yeah? And they're all connected to the same timer, yeah? So it saves a lot of faffing and wires and all that kind of stuff. So this one is the UVB. So you can't exactly see it because the lighting isn't the best. But basically, I'll read it out. So it comes on at 7 o'clock in the morning and then goes off at 4:30. So it comes on like half an hour in between the halogen and the plant grow lights. I hope that does make sense. So it's like the aim of this system is to create a lighting kind of shade interval to mimic sunset and sunrise, okay? And I'm quite pleased with this tower because it keeps all the timers neatly together. This electric tower, power tower, is connected to the mains. I've just put the it's connected into this extension lead because the plug socket is just behind this little old bug hotel, so it wasn't quite long enough, so I've used an extension lead. So that power tower is connected by one plug into there. So this one plug here feeds all the electricity into this power tower, which then operates all the timers, yeah, which then operates the lighting. The thermostat I'm going to go on to in a sec. So I can now move that back down a little bit. I just moved it up so that I could show you this more clearly. And then just pack that back in there. This unit, this piece of furniture, it's an old TV stand. Yeah, it's handy because the drawers I use to store all sorts of lizard stuff. And there's like a little hole in the back where I can feed like wires and stuff through. So it's really, really handy. One of my first setups, the wires were all over the place and it was, yeah. So it's important to keep your wires tidy to avoid like fire hazards and whatnot. Okay. So, thermostat now because the temperatures in November do get a bit cooler, we need to adjust, well, I need to, for this setup, I'm adjusting the thermostat, okay? And once I mention thermostat, I'm going to mention about the behaviour of Mr. Jinx lately, okay? So what have we got? So November. So we've done the sun, we've done the sunset and hours of sun, so we can forget about that bottom half. So if we look at the temperatures, so this is again in the village of Gnarly, so it's not like accurate as in the wild, and because it's a terrarium, we're not going to get it accurate. But just to give us an idea, so November temperatures in the daytime. 29 degrees, yeah? Now in October, the sort of average ambient temperature in the terrarium has been around 30 on the warm side, and sort of mid-20s on the cool side, roughly. Maybe slightly more, slightly less, depending on the time of day. It usually, I live on the North Wales coast, it usually gets warmest here sort of around mid-afternoon, sort of around the 2 to 3 o'clock time of day, which will obviously in fact impact on the ambient temperatures in the terrarium. So yeah, the temperatures do vary slightly, but even though still it's within safe, you know, it doesn't get too hot in there, or doesn't, you know, it rarely, well, it's not getting below 15 degrees there yet, so even at night time. and we've only just literally put the heating on in the house for the first time this year, well, this season. Tonight we just put it on for like an hour because we're trying to save on energy and whatnot with the costs of gas and electric going up. So yeah, anyway, going back to this, so 29 degrees and then at night time 17 degrees. Now October temperatures, like I've just said, we're sort of around about the 30 mark, yeah, on average about 30 degrees. So we're going to go a little bit cooler. So I'm going to adjust this thermostat setting. Now, let me just shuffle a few things. So it's currently the thermostat probe, which is placed on this side of the throne, the cooler side. That's the thermostat sensor. The temperature is set at the moment to 28 degrees. Yeah. Now I'm going to dip it down to 24. Okay, so just a little bit down to 24, and that will kind of mimic the more autumnal conditions, and even though the setting is at 24, doesn't mean that the terrarium temperature will be 24, but it'll be around about, you know, the mid-20s mark. Okay. Now, going on to Mr. Jinx's behaviour and feeding. The last time I fed him was on the 22nd of October. So 10 days ago. Yeah, that was the last time I actually put food in there. So I released food in there. And so there was a mixture of locusts, crickets, mealworms, and waxworms. So it was a good old mixture. Yeah. I've not put any more food in since that time. Yeah, I haven't needed to. Now, for the last 3 or 4 days, I have not seen Mr. Jinx. So he's in hiding mode, which is normal for leopard geckos at this time of year. His usual resting place in the twilight and into the night time is on one of those slate ledges at the back there. Yeah, but I've not seen him. And sometimes in the daytime, if I'm at home, I'll see him sleeping over in his bark tree den in the corner of his cool side, right at the back. But I've not seen him there either. He normally kind of like sits at the top of the kind of bark stump. I see him laying his head asleep, but I've not seen him. So he's probably gone way into his tree den, I'm guessing, or he could be behind his slate rocks, or he could be anywhere. He could be even in one of these burrows, but I don't know. Yeah, he could be in a burrow somewhere. But yeah, he's hiding basically. So I've not seen him for the last few days, which suggests to me that he may be preparing himself for brumation. I did notice when I did last see him, he looked a bit, you know, leopard geckos do tend to, in the brumation sort of period, autumn sort of time, they do tend to slow down. He's not been as active. like in the summertime, he was literally leaping from rock ledges onto these branches to catch his prey, yeah, and then running around with it in his mouth. But this time of year, he would literally just come out for, like, say, a couple of hours and just lie on his rock ledge and then go back to sleep. But lately, he's not been coming out at all, so he's in hiding mode, yeah. Now, with the temperatures cooling down, now leopard geckos, they're amazing. They can sense climate changes quicker than humans, yeah. So they can sense changes in the climate and weather faster than what humans can, right? So they can then just prepare themselves, right? So I noticed, that he was going a little bit off colour for, sort of like a molting sort of colour. He had a shed about a month ago. He may have shed just before he hid away, but all this, it's healthy signs, it's good signs, it's normal, it's nothing to worry about. This is what leopard geckos do, yeah. And this is what's happening lately in this terrarium. So I've not seen Mr. Jinx for about 3 or 4 days now, and I'll just wait until he decides to come out. So yeah, so that is the latest update. I've got my dehumidifier on because the humidity in November gets lower. November 27 in Gnarly, so probably a bit lower in the wild. The average sort of humidity at the moment in that terrarium, if we're talking about averages, so we'll say about 40% on the warm side during the day, goes higher at night, and about sort of 60%